What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Burning Hammer Podcast. I'm your host, Mark Izzo, and alongside me, as always, is Dillon O'Brien. Dillon, how are you doing?
Doing pretty good, Mark. Big week for wrestling. So I'm excited to get back into the pod and get back into some predictions this time for AEW All Out.
Yeah, so if you didn't catch it already, we did do predictions for WWE Clash at the Castle a few days ago. So once you're done listening to this one, if you want to go ahead and check that out, that would be great. We're recording this before the Dynamite and the Rampage, so it's highly likely that they're going to add some matches to the card. So if they do, you can catch our predictions on our social media, especially on our TikTok and YouTube shorts. You can follow us on everything at The Burnt Hammer. You can follow me on everything at @Markizzo_wave. And you can follow Dillon on Instagram and on TikTok at DillonO'Brien_wave. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you're listening to it via audio platform, make sure to rate and make sure to comment and make sure to follow or subscribe, whatever it is that your streaming service does. Now, let's get into the meat of this podcast, which is AEW All Out 2022. I'm pretty excited for it. I know Dillon's excited for it. Dillon, how are you feeling about this match card so far?
I'm intrigued to see what ends up happening with the main event. But overall, I'm really excited for the match card, and I'm really interested to see how it all plays out. It could go a lot of different directions.
Yeah, I think there's a few things that I'm not quite sure why they're actually on the card, and maybe in the coming days things will get added. But we're gonna hop right into it. They have the Casino Ladder match. Now, they did not give us any detail or any word on if it's for the women or if it's for the men. Last year, it was for the women, and the year prior, it was for the men. So if they're going to do every other year, I would expect it to be the men. But in my early match card predictions, I predicted that it was going to be the women. So I feel like I have to stand by the fact that I think it's going to be the women's casino ladder match. Dillon, which one do you think is going to be for the men or for the women?
I mean, I'll just go for the men to disagree with you, I guess. I'm not too strong with my opinion either way. I'm not really sure how it's going to end up.
Yeah, I feel like I knew if it's the men, I thought I had a good idea of who was going to come out on top. That was until what happened last week on Dynamite. And we'll get into, because now I think that's going to involve what the main event is with Jon Moxley. But I predicted that it was going to be the woman, and I predicted that Sasha Banks was going to debut for AEW. I believe that got published about a month ago. And I guess I still have to follow up with that prediction. So, either way, they usually put on pretty good casino ladder matches. I do really enjoy the concept. I like the idea of a Joker, of not knowing who it is. It's usually a big return or a big debut. So it'll be interesting to see how this all plays out. If it's for the men, I have the slightest clue. Actually, I have one clue. If it is the men, I think there is a small chance that it could be Bray Wyatt come out. If it's for the women, like I said, I think it's going to be Sasha Banks. But do you have any guesses on who you think is going to be the Joker or who you think is going to win it if it is for the men, the Casino Battle Royale? Or the ladder match, excuse me.
MJF almost makes too much sense at this point. So I won't go with him. Let's do,
It's tough, because I feel like a lot of their top stars are tied in with other things currently. So
yeah.
that's why I feel like it has to be like a debut or a return of sorts. You could say Bray Wyatt. You can agree with me. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, but I don't think that, though. I think Bray Wyatt's going to go back to WWE.
Okay. You know what? You think on it, and we will post it on our TikTok. So
Yeah,
make sure to follow us
we'll
on
do
TikTok at The Burnt Hammer to see who Dillon thinks is going to win the casino ladder match if it is for the men. Regardless of if it's for the men, the women, who's going to come out on top, they do
Oh, who
a
I think's
good
going to
job.
win?
Yes.
Or who I think the Joker's going to be? Who I think is going to...
Or you can pick one.
Who I think is going to win? Daniel Garcia.
Nice. I think that's a good option.
Yeah.
I think if it's not gonna be the Joker who's gonna win, if like assuming the Joker is a surprise debut or return, I could see it being Daniel Garcia. I could also actually never mind. I was gonna say Eddie Kingston, but he is suspended from AEW after fighting Sammy Guevara.
Maybe he's the
reportedly.
Joker.
So
could be the Joker.
Well, he's suspended. I don't know how long his suspension's for, but
I heard his suspension was done.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know. I heard they were just waiting to bring him back on TV. They were just trying to figure out what they want to do.
Yeah, because the report came out last week, I believe, about the whole incident with Sammy Guevara. Who knows? I mean, if it's true or not, I feel like it is true, especially with the way Kingston has been tweeting. If his suspension is done, I could see him winning, or I could see Daniel Garcia winning. But like I said, either way, it's going to be a pretty good match. I still, personally, I do very deep down believe that Sasha Banks is going to go to AEW. And I know, there were just reports, I think like today or yesterday, that her and Naomi reached an agreement with WWE to return.
I feel like there's reports like every other day, though. I feel like
this is like the third time we've heard that they reached an agreement with WWE to come back. And we've also heard that they've been released from the company. So who really knows what's going on with that? I'm just going to stick with my bold prediction that Sasha's going to appear in AEW. So next up, in the match that I am probably most... I don't know if I'm angry about it or if I'm annoyed, but I feel like these men should be doing different things on the card. So this is the six-man tag team match, which is your TNT champion Wardlow and the ROH, AAA, and IWGP heavyweight tag team champions FTR taking on the Motor City Machine Guns and Jay Lethal. Now, before this, everyone assumed it was going to be Sanjay Dutt and Satnam Singh, but then I believe it was on Dynamite, or it might have been on Rampage last week, that Sanjay Dutt revealed that it is not, in fact, them, and that the Motor City Machine Guns are going to take their place in the match, which I think is an improvement, but I feel like Wardlow should be defending the TNT title in a singles match, and I feel like FTR should be in a tag team match on the card. That's like my biggest thing with this, is that I feel like they should be doing other things on the card, because I can't remember the exact number, but they said that the TNT title hasn't been defended on a pay-per-view in like a long time. Like it was the same thing as the IC title. So I think that they need to bring prestige back to the TNT title. I think Wardlow is the right person to do it, but I also feel like he should have had a singles match with the title during this, because I feel like they have an open challenge every week for the TNT title, and they sort of just let any random wrestler come in and just challenge for the title rather than someone who's high up in the rankings in AEW, which is like a big thing, especially with them like keeping records and stuff. So I feel like you got to have the people who have 4 titles win the match. Who do you think is going to win?
Yeah, I'm going to go with them as well, the guys with a ton of gold.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. This is the match. Do I think it's going to be good? Yeah, these are 6 really talented wrestlers, but I just feel like it doesn't need to happen.
Like, story-wise, like, it's just like...
It's not there for me.
It feels unnecessary, yeah.
And I do like Sanjay Dutt. I think he is a really good hire by AEW, and I think that dude absolutely rules. And I do like Jay Lethal. I respect the career and legacy he's had in professional wrestling, so it's nice to see him in AEW, but they got to do something else with this. I feel like there hasn't been much of a build for it. And my other biggest thing is that FTR, ROH, AAA, IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team Champions, they've been number one in AEW's rankings for like months, and they haven't had a shot at the AEW Tag Team titles in quite some time, although they have been ranked number one in the division for a while. So that's someone who I thought was going to at least challenge for the titles. I think they should give FTR every single tag team championship because they are probably the best tag team on the planet right now. So it just didn't make much sense to me, and it still doesn't make sense to me why they haven't received a shot at the tag team titles in quite some time. So it'll be interesting to see where they go moving forward. But like I said, I'm taking Wardlow and FTR. Dillon is also taking Wardlow and FTR, and I do think this will be a pretty decent match that I do think everyone should watch. So next up, we are going to go to the AEW Trios Tournament Finals. Now this is something that I was, and I still am pretty excited for, but something pretty annoying happened on Rampage last week, so it's really just made me mad and put me in a bad mood for this tournament. But right now, as it stands, like I said, we're recording this before Dynamite, so it is Will Ospreay and the Aussie Open taking on the Elite to determine who's going to go to the finals. And then on the other side of the bracket, we have Best Friends taking on the Dark Order, which I'm assuming is going to happen on Rampage. And the winner of that will take on the winner of the match happening on Dynamite. First, Dillon, who do you think is going to come out on top on each side of the bracket?
I'm going to go Dark Order versus Elite in the finals. With the Elite coming out on top in the finals. I'm just going to say, Kenny did not look great the other day, by the way.
Yeah. So, it was pretty expected that he was going to return once we found out that the Elite, or that the Young Bucks were looking for a third person to join them for the tournament, and Hangman Page turned him down. Kenny came back. He came back with one of those long sleeve compression shirts, and he had it was some like weird padding brace thing on his shoulder. He didn't look 100%, but he still is quite the showman, and you couldn't really tell too much. He did say that he had to come back a little early, essentially, and that he is going to be more healed up as the tournament goes on. So I think for Sunday, he'll be closer to 100%, but god damn, it was nice to see Kenny Omega back in a wrestling.
No, it was obviously, yeah, regardless, he didn't look great. I just meant he didn't look 100%, but Kenny Omega at whatever, 75% is still probably a top 10 wrestler in the world, so yeah, it's great to see him back. I'm just kind of bummed. I mean, I'm assuming you were going to talk about it. But House of Black was eliminated from the tournament. And I'm pretty bummed because I think that where do we go from here with the House of Black?
It's interesting because I was very confident they were going to make it in the finals, but I thought they were going to lose to the Elite. But I mean, we both said it before. They needed to be the first trios champions because, like, yes, they are three extremely talented wrestlers, but I feel like they haven't had much success as a trio, and especially with Buddy Matthews just coming back from injury. I feel like they really needed to win the tournament. They're not going to do that because they just lost to Dark Order. And don't get me wrong, I love the Dark Order. I think they have been one of the most underutilized teams in all of AEW and in all of professional wrestling over the past year or two. really since Brody Lee passed away, I feel like they haven't done much with them. And so I was super pissed off. Like, it takes a lot for me to really get upset about a professional wrestling decision. And, like, as soon as House of Black lost, like, I turned off the television. Like, and I'd never do that. I was just that angry that the House of Black really just lost like that. So, and
yeah, it was, yeah. Go on.
The thing that, like, really didn't make sense was because we had Miro interfere. So Buddy Matthews and Brody King went out to, like, fend him off, and then Miro came out, who I also absolutely love, but he just, like, beat them both up, but they didn't get disqualified. They just let two of the House of Black members just get the shit kicked out of them, and then they didn't do anything about it. So that's also what really made me mad. And I do love the Dark Order. Don't get me wrong. I think that they are extremely talented, and they've been extremely underutilized in AEW, but House of Black should have won that match.
I agree. And so with that being said, I feel like it's almost the Elite are gonna win. So it's pretty much all set up for that, to where it's gonna be a good and it's gonna be I think it's gonna be entertaining in ring, but it feels predictable. So if the Elite don't win, I'd be very surprised. And it's just, I'm invested because it's gonna be a good. I think they're all gonna be good matches, but story-wise, I'm just not really invested anymore.
Yeah, and it's just like, I don't know, man. I am still excited for the tournament. I feel like every trios match thus far has been really good, but I just feel like House of Black needed to win. I know I didn't predict them to win because I didn't think they were going to, but I do and still think that they should have came out on the top. But I think it's likely that they're going to add Miro against Malachi Black on this card as well. So I don't know. I mean, I agree. I think it'll be a good match between the Elite and Dark Order. Maybe we'll get a debut for the third member of Dark Order, because heading into their match on Rampage, before the match on Rampage, it was supposed to be Preston Vance number 10, but then I believe in, like, the day leading up to it, it was then, like, a mystery person, but they didn't advertise it, like, as a mystery team member. They just advertised it as the Dark Order, so I thought maybe, like, Colt Cabana could have returned to be it, but it did end up being Preston Vance, so who knows. It'll be interesting to see. I do also really like the Best Friends. Orange Cassidy is one of my favorite wrestlers that I've grown to love over the past couple years. I'm wearing his shirt right now. That's how much I love him. And so I wouldn't be surprised if they do win, but I do think it's going to be Dark Order versus the Elite in what is going to be a pretty fun match that I think may surprise a lot of people with how good it actually is going to get in ring. So me and Dillon are both going to take the Elite to win. We think it's going to be the Elite versus the Dark Order. So I'm also really interested to see how they handle sort of the trios titles going forward, if they're going to be used as more of a prop, or if we're going to just have, like, trios teams come in and really challenge for the titles. So it'll be interesting to see what the future holds for the trios belts. But moving on to a match that was recently added to the card is Chris Jericho, member of the Jericho Appreciation Society, is taking on Bryan Danielson, member of the Blackpool Combat Club. It's going to be Lionheart versus the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson. I'm pretty excited for this match. I'm happy that they added it to the card. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm really excited for this match, and I think this is when we finally get the best booking decision for everyone involved, and I think we finally get Daniel Garcia leaving the Jericho Appreciation Society to join the Blackpool Combat Club. And I think he would absolutely flourish in the Blackpool Combat Club. I really do. So I think Danielson gets the win, and I think Daniel Garcia joins the Blackpool Combat Club, and I'm really excited to see what Daniel Garcia can do in the Blackpool Combat Club, and I'm willing to stamp it right there because I really think it's time, dude, and he's gonna flourish in there.
In the past however many weeks or so, I feel like they've really put an exclamation point and like wanted you to. The biggest thing that the Blackpool Combat Club was like trying to get out was they didn't want to add the best wrestlers in the world because then there would be no one left for them to wrestle because they want to wrestle the best in the world. So I predicted it before, but I don't think Daniel Garcia is going to join the Blackpool Combat Club. I do think he would be a really good member and a great fit, but they sort of already have that young guy in there in Wheeler Yuta, and they just had an insane match at Death Before Dishonor, and I don't know, I guess they are still beefing, so what I think could be a dark horse, a very slim chance of this happening, but I could see it ending up being Daniel Garcia can join the Blackpool Combat Club, but then everyone else isn't really cool with it because Bryan Danielson didn't talk to anyone. He sort of brought him in on his own, and then there's a bit of a fracture in the team, and then Danielson goes off and starts his own faction, the Danielson Dojo, as we all thought it was going to be before, and then him and Garcia, and he sort of builds up his own little thing. I think that's something that could realistically happen. I don't know how high the chances are of that actually happening, but I think it could very well happen.
I think it definitely could as well.
Because I feel like, we've talked about how much we love the Blackpool Combat Club before, but I feel like they're at a solid number right now. I think 4 is a really good number because usually you'll have a tag team in there, so that's when you can get away with around 5. But without them having a tag team, I think 5 is getting to be a bit much. So, who do you think's going to come out on top? Jericho, Danielson?
I think Danielson.
I agree. I think Danielson's going to come out on top as well. It'll be interesting to see if Chris Jericho really gets in some stiff shots on Danielson, because Danielson, I think, is a super intriguing wrestler, and he's really like a rare breed of someone who is an insanely gifted technical wrestler, but also will deliver some hard-hitting, strong-style shots. And that's why I think him teaming with Garcia is the right move, because essentially they're the same exact wrestler. They have very similar styles. Garcia's only 23, which is insane because that's I'm also 23 and you are 22, so it's crazy to see someone have so much potential at such a young age. So I agree. I think Danielson's going to come out on top. I think he does need the win. And let's not forget, although Danielson won that 2 out of 3 falls match, their feud is still set at 2-2. Garcia did pick up a win, so I think this might not be the end of the matches between Garcia and Danielson. I think it's maybe somewhere down the line we might get that 5th match. But the next match we're going to talk about is one that I thought they have done a really good. I think they've done a pretty good job at building to it, but I think it has been a bit odd at times, which is Ricky Starks taking on Powerhouse Hobbs. Now, I absolutely love Ricky Starks. I think he is underutilized and underrated and underappreciated by AEW. I think he needs a big push. It's nice to see him get this match on a pay-per-view like All Out. He's taken on his former former Team Taz member in Powerhouse Hobbs. I think I have liked the build to this, but I will say I do think it's been a bit odd because ever since Hobbs turned on Ricky Starks, Starks has been chasing Hobbs, but Hobbs doesn't really want anything to do with Starks. Like, he's not trying to go out and like attack him. He really only attacks Starks when Starks tries to fight him. So that's the only thing where like I thought it was a bit odd, but regardless, I still think this is going to be a really good match. Ricky Starks is insane on the mic, and he shows it every week that he delivers a promo. They are some of the most passionate promos in all of professional wrestling. it's going to be interesting to see who they have come out on top because I feel like both guys need a victory here. I'm going to take Powerhouse Hobbs.
Yeah, I was gonna go Hobbs as well.
I was going back and forth, but I feel like they need to build Hobbs as like this mega threat, and I feel like having him lose to Ricky Starks isn't really going to do that, and it's going to set him back a good amount. And I feel like it's more in line with Starks, where his current character arc is to lose, and then he's sort of going to have to just build his way back up. I don't think it's going to be clean. I think maybe the factory is going to get involved and help Powerhouse Hobbs win, but I do think Powerhouse Hobbs is going to come out on top. And Dillon also agrees with me on that front. I think that's going to be a really good match that I'm also super excited for. And next up is a match that I thought they have done an insanely good job at building to, which is Christian Cage taking on Jungle Boy. This feud is, I feel like, very similar to the Seth Rollins and Matt Riddle feud that's going on in WWE, with just how heated and how personal and the build that it has been.
Even more though, on a much even more so though. I feel like the build up has been incredibly intense. And I'll say it right now, I think we get a Christian Cage victory. I don't think this is the last match we're going to get between these guys.
Wow. All right. I think that well, okay. I forgot about this other thing. So I was going to say Jungle Boy, but I forgot that I had this other prediction as well. So I'm taking Christian Cage, and I know it might be a little bold, but I think Luchasaurus is going to realign himself with Christian Cage to help him beat Jungle Boy. And here's why. Luchasaurus aligned himself with Christian Cage, and after that, he got all new wrestling attire, he got a new theme song, and then they swerved Christian Cage, and then they revealed that Luchasaurus was actually aligned with Jungle Boy. But then once he started to show up with Jungle Boy, his music didn't change and his attire didn't change. And it's not like it's just some random attire. He's in all black, and he's the bad dinosaur essentially. His theme music is awesome, but I feel like if he was not going to stay as a heel, they probably would have at least changed his ring attire. I think he might have went back to his old stuff. So I know it's bold, but it's for that exact reason that I feel like Luchasaurus is going to turn on Jungle Boy yet again. And I also just feel like he hasn't been that scared of Luchasaurus since. You would think that, I know he's focused on Jungle Boy, but the muscles and the intimidation of Luchasaurus, I feel like would at least affect Christian Cage, or he might mention Luchasaurus in some sort of fashion. So I truly deep down believe Luchasaurus is about to turn on Jungle Boy, and that's how Christian Cage is going to end up with a victory at All Out this weekend.
All right, I like it.
All right, next up we have the another newly added match, which is the AEW World Tag Team Championship match, which is the Acclaimed taking on Swerve in Our Glory. Now, I know I said I feel like FTR should have had a shot at the titles, but I'm also not mad that the Acclaimed are getting a shot at some gold. I absolutely love the Acclaimed.
No, definitely not.
I think they are insanely over with the crowd. I feel like they should have had a shot at the titles a long time ago. Their whole storyline with the Gun Club was insanely entertaining, and hearing JR every time the Acclaimed come out, he just goes, "Yo, listen," and it's really funny. However, I don't think that the Acclaimed are going to walk out with the tag team gold at All Out. What do you think?
Hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Can you see me?
Partially, you're frozen.
All right, but anyway. I'm going to go with Swerve in Our Glory. They're awesome. They got to hold the titles. I want them to have a decent run. I'm excited for the match, though.
Yeah, and I will say I do feel like the end of their team is going to be Swerve turning on Keith Lee, and I don't know if we might have just gotten a preview of that because Swerve Strickland. I can't remember what wrestling company it's for. It's for like an independent company, but he was tag team champs with Christopher Daniels, the Fallen Angel, and then he turned on Christopher Daniels. That happened like last week. So I don't know if that's sort of like a preview. I think it should be a red flag for Keith Lee since he just turned on his tag team partner and he has turned on Keith Lee in the past. So I wouldn't be surprised if Strickland turns on Lee, costing them the titles. I wouldn't be mad at it. In fact, I think I would be pumped that the Acclaimed are holding some gold finally. But I wouldn't put that past the things that could happen on the show. And they're I think it's gonna be a really good match. I think that I get really excited for every time when Max Caster comes down and he comes at whoever he's facing, and with his little raps that he does, which is really funny. So I think it's gonna be a really good match. I think the Acclaimed are a bit underrated for their in-ring ability. So I do agree, though. I think Swerve and Our Glory are going to come out on top, and I don't think Strickland's going to turn on him quite yet, but I think that is the inevitable that's ultimately going to happen. And so the final match that is announced on the card, and I wanted to get into something else after, too, with what the main event's going to be, but we have a fatal four-way to determine the AEW Interim Women's Championship. Last week, I believe it was on Dynamite, Thunder Rosa, she was backstage with Tony Schiavone, and she announced that she sustained an injury and she could not compete for, she didn't say for how long, but she had to step away. So they announced they will be crowning an interim world champion, women's world champion. She was supposed to face Toni Storm, so now it is a fatal four-way between Toni Storm, Britt Baker, Jamie Hayter, and Hikaru Shida. This one's tough. I'm not quite sure who's going to come out on top here, Dillon. What do you think?
I'll go Toni Storm.
I think that's a pretty good option because I think
it's the safe bet.
Yeah, I do.
Or maybe Britt Baker is the safe bet.
No, I think it's a good chance of it being Toni Storm because I saw something that said Toni Storm was originally planned to win against Thunder Rosa, but
that's what I thought too. Well, I was gonna pick her over Thunder Rosa, so that's why I'm gonna still go with her.
I was as well, but I'm gonna go out on a limb. I don't know how likely it is that's gonna happen, but I'm gonna take Jamie Hayter. I'm gonna go out. I'm going to be a bit bold here, maybe a bit of a hot take, but I think Jamie Hayter has a pretty solid chance of walking out as the interim women's champion. I think it's going to be interesting to see her in a match with Britt Baker because they're best buddies and they've been buds for quite some time. So I know it's bold, but I'm going to go Jamie Hayter. I think she has been underutilized in the women's division. In AEW, which has been seriously lacking. A thing that AEW has not been doing so well is booking the women's division. So I think she is insanely gifted in ring, and I think she does deserve to hold some gold for to become the interim AEW Women's Champion. And so you're taking Toni Storm, I'm taking Jamie Hayter. A match that I forgot that they made official was Athena taking on Jade Cargill for the TBS Championship. I'm taking Athena. I think Athena is going to finally be the person to give Jade Cargill.
They need to, dude. They need... Honestly, I'm at the point... Someone needs to beat her, I think.
They're running out of people.
Yeah, it's gonna get stale, and I think Athena's the person to do it.
I feel like, I don't know, I probably said it, I might have tweeted it, but once Athena came back, I thought she was immediately going to be the person to dethrone Jade Cargill. I thought the way they were building up to this match was a bit odd because Athena and Statlander were sort of like targeting Cargill, but then they just, like, Athena sort of stopped because they had the thing with, like, Madison Rayne. So it was like, is Athena going to actually challenge for the title or not? Like, what really happened with that? But now they are challenged. Athena's challenging for the TBS title, so I think it's going to be a really good match. But I do think Athena is going to be the person to dethrone and give Jade Cargill her first loss, and I think Cargill is going to go on to chase after the AEW Women's World title. So it'll be interesting to see how all of that unfolds. Now, the big thing I wanted to talk about was they have not announced a match for the AEW World Championship as of recording this. Again, this is before Dynamite and before Rampage. We're set to hear from Jon Moxley on this episode of Dynamite. So by the time you're listening to this, Dynamite would have already happened. I'll tell you what I think is going to happen. I think MJF is going to return on this episode of Dynamite and challenge Jon Moxley for the title at All Out.
Yeah, dude. Let's say that's gonna happen.
Yeah,
honestly,
put that out there.
because I think that's what needs to happen. That's what needs to happen, dude. And you know what they need to do? They need to have him win at All Out too.
That would be crazy. I hope so.
Yeah.
I'm here for it. I'd love it, dude.
Yeah.
I love MJF.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you and me both. We know that. We know me and you won't be mad at it, so I'm all in on that.
I am, dude. Because we said it before, that we predicted that MJF was probably going to be the next champion to dethrone Punkster, the Chick Magnet Punk.
Mm-hmm.
And my after we posted that episode where you were talking about Christian Cage and the cameo thing, I didn't know this, but my girlfriend told me that she was looking to get me a cameo from a wrestler, and she knows how much I love MJF, and she was going to do that. She's going to get MJF to do a cameo for me, but MJF is charging $500 for a cameo.
Oh, wow.
Just for him to insult you, which I think is hilarious. Yeah. But
It's the salt of the earth, bro.
Yeah. Which I thought was pretty crazy that I didn't even know they charged that much. So I do you think there's any chance that it's going to be CM Punk against Moxley?
I think there's a chance. I think there's a chance we get a rematch. But I think it's more fun to say that it's going to be MJF.
Okay, so I think I don't want to sound like mean or harsh, but I think it would be insanely stupid if CM Punk was to face Jon Moxley again at All Out, and here's why.
I think it would be stupid.
I don't think it would make sense.
There's a chance, though.
I don't think it would make sense.
Yeah, it wouldn't. But no, go on.
The match heard around the world, probably the most shocking defeat. Actually, I have said it is the most shocking defeat in Dynamite history. Jon Moxley absolutely squashed CM Punk in about 5 minutes to reclaim the AEW World Championship. The first ever two-time AEW World Champion. Moxley went for, I think it was a roundhouse kick, and then he went to kick with his right leg, but the left foot is the one where he had his injury with. So then he immediately hurt his left foot. Yeah, Punk. And then, that's essentially how Jon Moxley won. He just beat the piss out of him after that. And the way they were, having it play out was, his ankle's done. So I feel like there's no way he can return in, a week and a half after him essentially not being able to really do anything in that match. And the whole story was that he came back too early. So I don't think that he's going to come back. I don't think there's much of a chance that he's going to be the one to challenge Moxley at All Out. But I know I told you this before, and I saw someone tweet it, and I don't know who it was, but they said that CM Punk is going to turn heel. He's going to have a heel turn from a heel turn, which I thought was pretty clever, and I did agree with that. That is something that I immediately thought of after that match was Punk's going to come back heel, which I still do believe. I just don't know when that's actually going to happen yet. So
yeah, no, and it's too soon to do it now at this point after everything that played out. Yeah, bro, give MJF the title. Just do it.
They should have. They should have done it by now, I think.
They should. Yeah, they should have done it before.
Dude, that would be insane. Cause like everyone like freaked out and was like super shocked after Moxley just whooped Punk, and then to have him drop the belt a week and a half later. Cause that's something that AEW, they always have super long world title runs. I think this is what there was either 5th or 6th champion, or the 5th or 6th person to hold the title.
It went who? Jericho, Moxley,
Omega,
Hangman. No, Omega, Hangman,
and then
Punk,
and
then Moxley again.
Yeah, so he's the 6th champion in what, 3 or 4 years. So, and they all always have like really long runs. The shortest one, I believe, was Hangman. So it'll be interesting to see because.
Or Punk's actually, I guess.
They, like, who's going to challenge for the belt, realistically, after All Out? Omega's going to be world champ. Maybe Kingston, if Moxley's still the champ. That's someone who I thought that's another outcome that I thought they could do, was have Kingston face Moxley for the title, especially after what Punk said. But I just assumed Kingston was going to be out for the pay-per-view, but if his suspension's done, that could be another avenue that they travel, but who knows? I would bet my life insurance that Moxley is going to come back on Dynamite and challenge it. You had a pretty interesting idea that now I don't know how
what
much
if they do
but they you did mention it, that if they do like an open challenge for the world title, I think that could be interesting.
What if they say like the casino ladder match, like the winner of that gets to face Jon Moxley in the main event for the world title?
Well, that's in the same night?
Yeah.
That would be sick.
Then they have MJF come out and win that.
Because that's originally...
Or they have Daniel Garcia come out and win that and then beat Jon Moxley for the title at All Out. All I'm saying is they got to do something crazy to keep up with WWE right now, dude, because they just got like completely like 360, 180. Like people are kind of like, dude, what the fuck has AEW kind of been doing recently? And people are like, dude, WWE's getting back to it. So I'm saying they need to do something cool. MJF, something.
Yeah, I will say too, I do feel like this is the most, like, because I know there's haters, there's AEW haters, there's WWE haters on like Twitter and stuff. Wrestling community on Twitter is the most toxic community ever. It's insane, but I feel like over the past week or so, people are starting to realize that AEW has their issues. You know, the honeymoon phase is over. It's something that I know I've been saying for like the past week or so, and you said it last week. So I think that's why I think they could bring in Bray Wyatt, because they got to do something drastic here. They got to shake it up. Personally, I think they need to book the women's division better. And I mean, we could get into a whole episode about it, but just to briefly mention this, one big thing that I noticed was they added another mid-card title, the All-Atlantic Championship. And they have not had a championship match for that on one of their weekly shows, Dynamite or Rampage. All of them have taken place on like AEW Dark. We haven't even had like a segment involving that title. So like, I don't know what's up with that. or what's going on with that, but they need to start to book that title accordingly, because the Bastard Pack is one of the best wrestlers on the goddamn planet. I will die on that hill.
Yeah.
He is a top 5 wrestler right now. Argue with me on Twitter about it, because I truly believe that. So like, there's a lot of issues, and I think people are starting to come out of that honeymoon phase with AEW. And like you said, I feel like they need to do something somewhat crazy, somewhat drastic. I think Moxley defeating Punk so quickly was sort of in that same thing of doing something crazy. But I think that was something that had to be planned, and that had to always be the plan. They couldn't have. I don't think they would have just had something else and then just say, "Yo, Moxley's just gonna squash Punk," like the day of. So
yeah, I have to wrap it up soon. I have work.
All right. Dillon's got to go, but we both think MJF is going to face Jon Moxley for
I would say
AEW
that
title.
would be our prediction.
Yeah. I think we're going to get something on Dynamite about it. Dillon had a good idea of having the winner of the Casino Ladder match get a shot at the title in the same night, so we'll see what happens. Like I said, if any matches get added, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at The Burnt Hammer, and you'll get our predictions over there. If you're watching on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe to stay up to date with when new episodes come out. If you're listening on a streaming service, make sure to follow us, subscribe, comment, rate, whatever it is that it does. Make sure to do it on your specific streaming service. You can follow me on all of the social medias, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at @Markizzo_wave, and you can follow Dillon on Instagram and TikTok at @DillonO'Brien_wave. I'm Mark Izzo, he's Dillon O'Brien, and this has been another episode of the Burning Hammer Podcast.